Jake, Jake, I think I was second year when you was first year at Rhema, I think.
Dude, I think it was so long ago.
I know, right?
What year was it? What year was that?
I graduated in 2012.
Yeah, dude, I think that was my first year.
Did
you not play You didn't play basketball that year though.
Nah, man. When I had that knee injury my first year, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it.
It was. I think for me, it was like, man, I had opportunities coming out of high school and I blew it. I was like, well, I'm gonna try to see what, you know what I mean. But man, when I hurt my knee, I was like, you know what,
forget about it.
Dude,
and it's one of, I mean, it's cool, but like when you're at Rhema, for me, it was like, I mean, you're there for. I feel like dude, basketball was distracting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So man, I'm gonna just start recording, and then we'll do our little intro, and then we'll
get to it.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna snap a quick picture for the gram real quick.
No problem.
I like it.
Please, I guess you got to do it, bro. It says, please record permission from the meeting host.
So y'all got like two cameras and stuff set up there?
2 laptops.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. Oh, it's already recording.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we good. Cool.
Okay.
All right, man. So, man, what's up, everybody? This is the Progression Point Podcast. I'm with my brother Ty today.
What's going on? Good to be back. I missed last week.
Hold on, man. We forgot to do our thing. We've been 1 week removed, and we forgot to do our intro.
Let's get it. Let's go.
I forgot.
How you gonna forget?
Yo, it's your boy Corey. It's the Progression Point Podcast. And this is my
guy, T.Y.
And this is the Progression Point Podcast episode.
I think it's 11.
11?
I think it's 11.
Double one.
So, man, how you doing today, Ty?
I'm doing good, bro. How you been?
Man, bro, locked in the house. All right, so check it out. I've been down with sciatica for like a week.
Yeah.
So I went to the chiropractor last week. He got me right. And then still had a little, I couldn't really, man, every time I would step, it felt like fire on my heels, man. So I went back yesterday, chiropractor adjusted me. Last night was tough. I didn't really get a lot of sleep. But this morning I woke up, I was like, man, I got a little better movement. You know what I mean? So, man, like honestly, for this whole coronavirus thing, whatever, like I've taken away some things. I say I'm gonna get my health, like seriously, be serious about my health, just because I mean, you never know. You know what I mean?
It's the only one you got.
It's the only one I got, man.
Right.
And you know, I've already been on this, but just financially, you know what I mean, and just just reading more. Just really digging in, man. Trying to, we're gonna come out on top. So, yeah, man, yeah.
The same with the fam, like we just been really digging in on taking advantage of this downtime. Like I've been talking to a couple of guys. Our biggest thing is we're looking at this as an opportunity to like a reset. Like God is giving us a chance to
absolutely
restore the time that was lost.
Right.
Where it comes to like mental health. When it comes to like holding yourself accountable to like taking advantage of building up new skills.
Yep.
And so, and if everybody's out here just being frantic and just freaking out about what they're going to do when they're trying to hoard their resources because they're scared of, with the scarcity happening in the retail stores, we're looking at it like just investing in ourselves, investing in
absolutely.
Before. So yeah, bro.
Absolutely.
I'm with you, bro.
So yeah, man. So this is crazy. Like the past 2 weeks, we've had guests.
Yeah.
We had my man Oliver on, and we talked about stocks, like life insurance, and financial literacy. And this week, man, we have the honor of having I met this guy in my Bible school days. He was first year, and I was on my way out. But man, his name is Jake Nix. If you haven't heard of him, man, you can Google him, and you'll find some pretty cool articles, man, just talking about his story and to where he's at today. So, man, thank you, Jake, for joining us, man.
Dude, it's an honor to be here, man.
Yes, so thank you. So, man, so Jake, man, first and foremost, just give us a little bit of your story and go from there, man. Just let it go.
Yeah, man. You know what's crazy is being on this podcast because Rhema was like eight years ago.
Absolutely.
8 years ago, dude.
Yep.
And I put out a Facebook. You know how Facebook like shows you like memories or whatever.
Yeah.
And like 2000, like probably 4 or 5 years ago, you know, I put a post that said, you know, treat everybody with like absolute like kindness and respect, because like we were created to be like immortal creatures. Like we originally we weren't created to die. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like 8 years, 5 years goes by. It's like, you never know what, you know, what can be, you know, become. Dude, even just seeing you guys with this podcast now, like, dude, this is, you know, never, you know, despise small beginnings. You never know what it's going to go to.
Absolutely.
So yeah, dude, I mean, it's an honor to even be sitting here after meeting you, you know, so long ago too. So
yeah, it's been a long time.
you know, it's been a long time, but you feel like you blink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And these,
So you
like
blink.
I said, 8 years later, and this is where you at.
That's it.
I'm in
Dude.
Arizona now.
I know. Who would even thought you'd been in Arizona?
Not me. Not
That's
me.
dude. That's what I'm saying. So like, people are like, what, you know, what do you think about the future? I'm like, I'm not thinking about the future. I'm thinking about right now.
Absolutely.
Right now, because like, dude, I never thought I'd be here down here in Florida. So I'm with you.
Yeah. So,
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So I mean, you know me back that first year, but that second year, you know, after playing basketball, trying to make a car payment, trying to make the you know, apartment payment, all that, and to make the 𝙴𝙗𝙸 payment, like, dude, I just a lot of month at the end of my money.
Yeah.
So that second year, most of that second year, I ended up sleeping in my car, man.
Wow.
Cleaning Planet Fitness, dude, and that was hard for me because like, dude, it was like shameful, you know,
Right.
because like you think if you're out there doing like God's work, like that provision is going to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, looking back, it's like, you know, it talks about in the Bible where he's, he provides everything that we need. It's like, he didn't say he can provide everything we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, so it was shameful for me, you know what I mean? I didn't want to tell people I was homeless, because then, you know, it comes with that stigma, like, oh, you must not be living right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dude. So just, you know, ended up figuring out how to meet somebody's need. Started waiting tables, making a little bit more money, and it just grew from there into, you know, owning, you know, quite a few businesses and making a lot of impact on people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was your first business?
Dude, so my very first business was called Trash Away.
Okay.
And dude, it had like a little logo of like a trash man. And so what I would do is I would haul people's trash from their house to the curb on trash day, and then haul it back and clean it out once a month. Because, you know, Oklahoma driveways, they long driveways.
Yeah. Long driveway.
Long drive. So people, you know, people don't want to do that. And that was, you know what that was? It was just like me, you know, dude, my dad was a pastor, you know, making like $18,000 a year. So like we didn't know about money, business, anything.
Right.
And that was for me, is like, you know, reading about books like, all right, meet a need. I'm like, well, that's a need.
Yeah.
So that was my very first thing. And it was, I never wanted to be a trash man, you know what I mean? But it was like, it was a start, you know what I mean?
Yep. Hey, quick question. Could you, I know just from reading like your bio, like your thing is serving. Can you just touch on that just a little bit, and how like that helped you to become an entrepreneur in a business?
Yeah, dude. I mean, because that's all that, you know, being a servant is just meeting a need. You know what I mean? Like when you go out to get, you know, food at a restaurant, that person's waiting on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's their job to give you good service. Now, like you see that person out like in regular everyday life, like they're not gonna serve you or take care of you. But in that moment, they're a servant.
Yeah.
And so even Jesus talks about it. He's like, the greatest of you will be a servant, right? You want to meet a need.
Yep.
And so that's really what it is for me, is because like if you're going to be a taker, like, I mean, everybody's out there taking, but if you can be somebody to give something, like people are going to want what you have. So that's why I do being a servant. And not a lot of people think about business in that way. You know what I mean? They think about it like glamorous or, you know, or it's like this like taboo thing, but dude, all it is like meeting a need. You know what I mean? Like if you don't want to mow your grass, like, well, if somebody comes and mows your grass, like that's meeting a need.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why for me, is being a servant is just like figuring out like what exactly does somebody need, and serving that need. Yeah, dude. And when you do it with a good attitude, like, dude, that could be the difference between a $20 tip and a $30 tip. You know what I mean? Like you spend the exact same amount of time, but it's like you do it with a good attitude and you make that person feel special. Like they're going to give you more money.
Absolutely. They find value.
Yeah, they do. I mean, if you just go around making people feel special, dude, you never have to go look for work or anything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
People just want to be around you.
Absolutely. Cool. So what lessons did you learn during that time to help you later in business and just in life in general?
Yeah, dude, probably one of the biggest lessons is I learned that I'm not special. You know what I mean? Like, and like nobody's going to go, I mean, there will be people that go out of their way to, you know, to help me, but it's really up to me to pull myself out and really become valuable to the marketplace. Because dude, everybody wants to keep what they have. I mean, you look at it right now, everybody's like hoarding like toilet paper and groceries and all that stuff. Like that's what people do, is that they're hoarding hoarding stuff. But if you can go out there and give, dude, I mean, you're going to be, you'll be completely different. So that was for me, is like, all right, how can I meet a need and solve a problem exactly where I'm at right now? Even if it's not going to be like my end goal, it's like, what can I do right now? Because that's just going to be a stepping stone for me.
And it's just planting seeds.
Well, yeah, to just, and like, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right?
Absolutely.
So dude, the same mindset to win in basketball is the same mindset to win in football. In any sport, it's that mindset that I'm going to be the best. I'm going to work, I'm going to work the hardest. I'm going to give it, everything that I have. Yeah. And when it comes to business, dude, it's that mindset of like, all right, I'm going to serve the best possible. You know what I mean? If you got 10 people meeting the same need, well, I'm going to do it like even better, because I want them to come back.
Right. Okay. Yep, absolutely.
For you, Jake, like, what habits were already instilled, and what habits did you have to cultivate, right? So coming from your background, you have to say your dad didn't make a lot of money. 18 grand a year is not a significant amount of money. So what did you already see from that upbringing of not coming from a wealthy silver spoon background, and that helped build you to where you are? And what did you also have to cultivate?
Yeah, man. So the biggest thing I had to cultivate and figure out that, like, dude, I thought making money was like not necessarily like hard, but it was for people who went to college. It was for people, because I'm not a smart person. You know what I mean? Like I work hard, but I thought it was for, people who were smart and all these different things. So that was one of the hardest things for me to overcome, is to realize that, like, like I could make whatever I wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was one of the biggest things to overcome. But even being in that kind of like a poverty mindset, it was like, it wasn't that I didn't think that I deserved it, but it's just, I didn't think that I could achieve it. You know what I mean? That I could have it, like that it was a possibility for me.
Yeah, man. I mean, coming from, where I come from, man, honestly, like I didn't think it was achievable. I had dreams, but when you're in poverty, it definitely, that's what I'm looking for. It crushes your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it makes it seem like more of a dream than a reality, like something that's achievable.
Absolutely.
Because I look at it like dude, with our bodies, like, dude, we could be like super ripped up, like shredded if we wanted to, but we got to put the work in. We got to eat a certain way. We got to put the work in at the gym. And for me, dude, it's like with everybody, I think everybody can achieve, greatness. Because, dude, I think greatness is like, I mean, who even gets to determine what that is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so for me, it's like a wealthy and a well-off life, dude, could be, for somebody it could be $1 million, could be $100,000, could be $10 million. You know what I mean? Like, that bar's ever changing. Like, dude, as long as you're happy, and as long as, you've achieved those goals in your heart, like, dude, that's what like matters.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, for you, Jake, did you have a different agenda? Like, so like when you first started out, right, were you trying to remove yourself away from something, or did you feel like you were chasing something?
Dude, so when I first started out, like, I really did feel like I was chasing something. Okay. Because, like, they say money doesn't make you happy, but everybody wants to find out for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, dude? I was chasing that. And once I had achieved it, I realized like it didn't make you any happier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely felt like I was chasing something more so than getting away from something.
Okay.
Cool.
I think a lot of people, like, with that answer too, because I feel like a lot of us tend to do that. We can feel like, oh, we got to go after what is deemed to be the American dream. Like you said, a lot of us want to try to figure that out for ourselves. Like, oh, money doesn't really make you happy. And with that statement that you stated there, how long within the process did you learn to discover that, was it after acquiring a couple of things? Was it in the process of the pursuit to get to where you are today? How long did it take for you to figure that out?
Yeah, dude. So two things make us like fulfilled as human beings. Like one is giving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other one is growing.
Yes.
And so, dude, I was able to maintain happiness by the time that I become a millionaire by 25, because I was growing. You know what I mean? I was always seeking out new ways of doing things. But once kind of like I'd reached that point in that stage of where I thought, hey, this is what's going to make me happy. Like I was like, all right, I can let off the gas pedal a little bit. Like this is it. I'm here. You know what I mean? Like I'm here, everybody. And then, but once I got there, I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so then it didn't matter how much more I made. I mean, I knew in my mind, it's like, it's not going to be any different. You know what I mean? So like, for me, it was like, then I got to like find it, going to the bar or like whatever, like going out, like dating, like trying to seek that fulfillment that I was looking for that whole time, before coming back to before coming back to God again, to where it's like, hey, like back to the basics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So, man, I remember we was talking on the phone just a little bit, and I was talking about the middle, and you said some really good things. So in your middle, what were some things that you did to stay in the right frame of mind?
Yeah. So being in the middle, I mean, we're always going to be in the middle. There's no like, because that goal is like always, it's always like changing. It's always going to, once you get to this point, it's like, here's the bar. So being in the middle is just, making money is based off of like solving a problem, meeting a need, and like living a fulfilled life. And then your money should be made as a byproduct of that. Right. Yep. But it's honestly, it's about doing the same thing every single day and even finding happiness in those little things, which, can sound kind of cliche, but it's so true because, I mean, when we look at, even if each one of us never got any more or gained any more than what we have right now, it's like, can we be grateful for where we're at?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, that's good because like it makes me think about like that process. Then, was your walk in your faith challenged in the middle, in the beginning parts of your middle, to where you started to progress and start to go back to the basics, like you mentioned moments ago?
Yeah, dude. So for me, the problem is like I was always hitting the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I found myself there again and again, and I really didn't, understand why. You know what I mean? They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, dude, for me, it was like, when I really got down to the basics of like, because I think about like a rich person, right? If somebody had like 10 million bucks in the bank, but they're on their deathbed dying of cancer, like they would trade every single one of those dollars just to be healthy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, dude, sitting here right now, if like somebody's kid was sick, dude, they'd give every bit of money that they had. If somebody was blind, right? It doesn't matter if they had 100 million bucks in the bank, they're going to give it away to be able to see, dude.
Absolutely.
So, really, and I think that like life and God gives us more is like, once we really sit down and be grateful for, grateful is a good word, but just being content, like, hey, this is good. Like I've got it good. Like I appreciate what I have right now.
Yeah. Cool. So, man, I have one more question. So, how important is the mind, like in all of this? How important is it to feed yourself with materials that can remove any hidden barriers, that block your success?
Yeah, dude, bro. So mindset is absolutely everything. And, even motivation is a lot like a shower. You got to do it every day.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, dude, for me, I've got a pretty consistent routine. I forgot who said it, but they said excellence isn't an act, but a habit. Therefore, we are what we repeatedly do. Mm-hmm. So what we do every single day is really what is who we are. Like all we are is a buildup of our habits.
Yep. Yep.
Dude, even after this podcast, we're gonna hop off and we're gonna forget. As soon as we leave, we're gonna forget about 50% of what we just talked about. Like that's the human brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, I look at motivation is a lot like a roller coaster. Like some days it's high, right? Then some days it's low, and some days it's high, and some days it's low. But when you can keep that consistent action, it doesn't matter whether you're feeling good or you're feeling like low. You're still doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, dude, for me, one of the biggest things is, every single day, the first 15 minutes of your day, like what you hear and what you put in your mind sets the tone for the whole day.
Yep.
So, dude, that's for me is praying and getting motivational tapes in.
Yep.
And then, dude, consistently, listening to them out throughout the whole day. Cause dude, we get tired. Like it's like one day we're like, we want to be like, hey, I'm going to go after this. Next day it's like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But it's like consistently feeding yourself with like the word and motivation that you every day looks exactly like the same almost, But then
Mm-hmm.
you look back and it's all completely different, dude. Like 8 years,
Absolutely.
you look 8 years, each one of those single days, didn't seem that special in itself, but you look back and it's like, dang, it's not even anything close to where it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes me think about like people who like taking accountability right through the process. Like you said, you listen to like tapes, you dig into the word and things like that. Why do you think everyone isn't where they desire to be, whether it be financial, health, and relational?
Dude, the reason I think so is because I don't think that they even know where they want to be.
Mm.
And you like, because I think that we have things pushed on us as a society of like, this is the norm, right? And so if your life doesn't look like that, then then things are off.
Yeah.
I think that nobody really sits down and figures out exactly, all right, what does my perfect life look like? What are my goals aside from, everybody else, dude? Because there was a Harvard study where they offered the classmates, they said, hey, we're going to give you $100,000 a year, but the rest of your classmates are going to make $200,000 a year.
Mm.
Or you can take $50,000 a year and the rest of your classmates will make $25,000 a year. And most people went with the 50,000 because as human beings, we want to like, it's such a comparison thing.
Yeah.
And comparison is a thief of joy. So I think with social media and all of these things, like, people have no idea what real life should be like anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we've really got away from the basics. So I don't think that anybody will ever achieve their goals and their dreams because they don't even know what they really are.
No, that's true. I was reading this book, man, and it was by Miles Monroe, man. It was talking about purpose, and it was talking about a guy who, basically, his father, I believe, wanted to become a doctor, and for some reason, some things didn't work out in his favor. So his dad put all his energy into his son to fulfill his dream, and the guy did it. Went through school, became very successful. One night, he was about to accept an award on stage, and he just broke down crying and was like, this is not what I wanted. You know what I mean, basically. And he was like, I wanted to do music. You know what I mean? And it just made me, and when you said that, it made me think about that, man. How many people aren't walking in their purpose either because someone else, molded them, or like you said, looking on Instagram or Facebook or TV, and you're getting this false sense of what you think your life should look like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When God all created us to have a purpose, man, specific purpose. You know what I mean? And so, man, that's deep, bro.
No, dude, and it really is, dude. I mean, because I even look back at like Rhema, you know what I mean? And a lot of people go off and start these churches, that fail and take a lot of money and take a lot of time and put it into something that fails like that. And I mean, I look at a lot of times, it's almost because like that's what people, they felt like was the image or what they were supposed to do versus like, man, maybe that's not what God called you to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it really is. You're just figuring out, hey, exactly like what am I, dude? Because we were all created with a gift. You know what I mean? Like, dude. So if you look up, there's 16 different personality types.
Right.
16, dude. And I think, I mean, this isn't like gospel, but dude, I think those are all different characteristics of God.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, dude, it really takes everybody to make a dream and a vision come true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, finding your gift, and being the absolute best at it. You know what I mean? Like, who was it that said like, if you're going to be a street sweeper, like sweep streets like Michelangelo painted paintings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, dang, like whatever you do, just be get everything, give it your absolute best.
Yep.
Final question for you, Jay, and I again appreciate your time. Which parts of your success do you think can be repeated if you were to start out today, and which parts could not be? Especially when you look at, we had the recession back in like 2008, and now we have this coronavirus, COVID-19, really this crazy pandemic that's impacting a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs. And what's going on with that?
Yeah. Okay. So like talking about that guy, that one guy who wanted to do music right now. So like right now on Spotify, like every single day, like 40,000 new songs are released every single day.
Man.
Right. So it's like, dude, it's like, how do you stand out? Like, dude, that's hard.
Right. Very.
That's hard.
Very,
It's hard to stand out. You know what I mean?
very.
But what I believe is that hard times create strong men, right? So
Absolutely.
just like you guys were talking about, like during this time, like leveling up during this quarantine, there's going to be a lot of people that aren't, right? So they're going to come out of this quarantine lethargic, lazy. You can ask them what they did, and they'll say, you know, they watched every single show on Netflix, right? But then there's going to be those few people who leveled up and who, you know, who made themselves better during this time, whether it's reading books or, you know, making themselves more valuable to the marketplace, dude. So really what it is about like standing out and doing things way different than everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that even in these times, like cause dude, like success is not glamorous. You know what I mean? Like playing, you know,
Right.
playing basketball, shooting those free throws over and over and over. That none of that's glamorous. You know what I mean? But if you put in the work, like, I mean, you're going to stand out, you're going to shine.
Right.
So like, I mean, I think honestly, like right now is absolutely amazing for a lot of people. I mean, yeah, it's a hard time, but it's going to give a lot of people the ability to shine because they're the ones who put the work in.
Yep.
Right now, you know what I mean, dude? Because I mean, even if you went, like, if somebody learned a second language during this like 2 months of quarantine, I mean, they could make $10,000 in a job that somebody who didn't know a second language. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, so it's like, all right, what can I do right now during this time that's going to make me different, stand out?
Yeah. What opportunities?
Dude, there's
what
opportunities
can I see?
everywhere. Yeah, dude, they're out there, dude.
Absolutely.
One guy bet like, I forgot, like $270 million on this whole market collapse and made like 2.7 billion. You know what I mean? Like, dude, people are making money during this time, but it's all about like seeing things differently. But if you get caught up in the like the hysteria and the hype and of all this, like, dude, like you're not gonna move, right?
Nope.
There's only two motivating factors for human beings. Like, one is the fear of loss, and the second is the opportunity of gain. And the fear of loss is always greater than the opportunity of gain. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if I'm hooked up to those social media outlets, like we don't want to do anything except for like hoard our food, you know, protect our family and not do anything. You know what I mean? But like the people out there that are like looking for those opportunities and see life that way, dude, they're gonna shine, dude. It's gonna be like, for some people it's gonna be such a hindrance, and then for other people it's gonna be like 100x. Like they're just gonna like wait, where'd that person come from?
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
If we haven't looked at history, see how whenever there's a down market or a global major impact, and seen that all the businesses that were able to flourish during this, or just not even limited to just business, but just opportunities in general, whether, like you mentioned just moments ago, Jay, with learning a new language. You know, maybe you wanted to have that skill set established, but now with this down market that we're in, and you didn't have the time before because of the busyness that we lived in, you now have the downtime to actually really hit the ground running, whether you're trying to become a millionaire or just increase your skill set in the job to retain your viability with the company or the career that you're trying to obtain. So
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's like, dude, honestly, like, when we get out of all of this, right, the people that said they didn't have time to read books or didn't have to do dude, I mean, it really is like, at the end, it's gonna be like, no, dude, you had time.
You had time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, do same thing. And I think about it too, like, dude, with God, like, you know, one of my biggest motivating factors, talks about in Revelations, he said, if you will overcome the world, like, you're going to sit on the right hand of my son. Like, and it's like, dude, for me, I don't want to get to heaven and God be like, why didn't you do this? Like, I'm like, oh, well, this and this and this. Like, no, you had it. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you had the time, like you could have done it, but you didn't. And really, you know, at the end of the day, like, we're all going to have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, like, you just didn't want it bad enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, I think that's a 𝙴𝙿 moment right there.
Yeah.
You just didn't want it bad enough. Like,
you just didn't
right there. That just cuts out everything. And like, man, like, I just been thinking about how this country was built on entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And like, people don't understand. People get mad at these corporations for getting tax breaks. I'm like, you understand? Like, it's built for that. Why don't you go ahead and start your business?
Yeah.
So you could take full advantage of all that this republic has to offer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, man, back when I was younger, you know what I'm saying, doing what I was doing, and I wasn't gaining new knowledge, I thought the same way.
Yeah.
But when you really understand, like, what this country is built on, it may have some dark secrets and some dark paths, but like the what it's built on is for entrepreneurs.
No, dude, that's it. And man, like, dude, and it's like the truth will set you free.
Absolutely.
When you go out there and seek knowledge, like, I mean, y'all might not have, and I just found out about yesterday, but dude, even because y'all both barbers?
Just me.
What do you do, Ty?
Marketing.
So dude, there's a grant right now that, dude, and it's super easy to get. Like you can get up to $10,000 a grant for small business. You got a small business,
Yeah.
dude, simple, easy. You apply. You don't even have to pay it back.
Wow.
Bro, that's not like, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like that stuff is out there, right? And it's like, it's up to us to be like seeking, because when you seek, like you're gonna find, like God and like life is gonna give it to you, right? But even like that $10,000, like y'all could have $10,000 in a week just from that one grant. You know what I mean?
Send me a link. You gotta send me a link.
Yeah, and I'll send it over, dude. I had no idea. I got 4 or 5 businesses. Like I'm gonna get grants on all of them. You know,
Absolutely.
and
Why not?
why not? And so it really is, dude. And when you, like, when I go back to saying like the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? If you're a problem solver, it don't matter if you're in an up market, a down market, a medium market. You're gonna find a need and meet it.
Yep. Because I got I just started another business, man, where I'm selling like vintage like sports apparel. It's right there in the back, man. So I sell out of here. Like, man, I want to get some shoes in here. I can get that little $10,000. Go start my little consignment shop. You know what I mean?
And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? Like, so it's out there. Like, and dude, when I look at like, you look at like a computer program, right? It's like you got this computer program, like you can go in and manipulate it, right? You can go in and manipulate the things in the world. Like, it's like, man, like if we look at life like a computer program, and like, like our God created this all, like why can't he go through and manipulate things the way that we need to be? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's you
speaking some big facts.
and like when you really think about it, dude, then you don't think about like money doesn't become like, you don't even think about it as money anymore.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because that provision's out there. It's like, and so many times, like we think it's up to us to figure it out. But dude, if we're the right person, right, it's gonna find us. Like the reason that God created Adam and Eve was to manage all of this.
Yep.
Like God's looking for people to manage his kingdom.
Right.
Like, dude, he is like, he really is, seeking for the right people. And dude, I mean, there's a lot of churches that are about to go out of business now because of all this.
Right. Yeah. True.
Right. And so, like, at the end of the day, God said, like, we were doing your work, and God's like, you weren't doing my work. And so there's a lot of places out there that are taking tithe money and just keeping the lights on and not really doing anything and promoting that person's agenda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy time right now, but it's gonna be the best of times and the worst of times all in the same thing.
Yep.
I was just telling this to Corey earlier, like right now, during this time, especially with the significance of like the digital age that we're in right now, you're really going to see a separation of the wheat and the tares. Where, like you mentioned earlier, you're going to see those who were just sitting melancholy, just trying to figure out, like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any options. And then platforms like what we create, which is giving information, learning information, like what you presented with us, Jake, like a $10,000 grant. Others could hear this and be like, well, I don't know what else to do. You don't know. You don't allow yourself to further inquire.
Absolutely.
Or like you just did by saying, hey, send me that link. And taking those necessary action steps.
Yeah, dude, and it becomes one of those things that where like when you're always going after it, like even if I forgot about it tonight, hit me up tomorrow, like, hey Jake, send me that link. You know what I mean? Like staying like so many times we don't want to stay on top of something until we actually get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, dude, for me, like I refuse to concede any other outcome than that which I desire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be the one that I desire. It might not be in the exact way that I thought it was going to happen or the exact person, but like it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Man, Jake, we thank you, brother, for taking your time out your busy schedule, man, to come and talk to us and, bless our community, the TPP community, man. We appreciate you so much, bro.
Absolutely, man. It's been awesome.
Yes, sir. So, man, shout out your social media, man, because I was on your Instagram. It's very inspirational, man. So shout it out.
Yeah, you can find me Instagram, Jake J Nicks, JAKEJNICKS. Dude, it's, even on there, dude, it's like to do like, cause I'll do like 30-minute like coaching calls.
Yeah.
And to get 30 minutes of my time, like all somebody has to do is send me a receipt that they donated to a charity or an orphanage.
Wow.
Like, if you donate to an orphanage, like, dude, I give people 30 minutes. I've helped people. I mean, all kinds of people start business. I got a up and coming rapper that I help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, at the end of the day, like, dude, it's all the same laws. It's all the same thing. Like, when you're excellent in whatever you do, like, it doesn't matter if you're a rapper, it doesn't matter. You grow vegetables, like it's all the exact same.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We would definitely make sure that the world knows about you, brother.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time and the fact that you're willing to show through demonstrating that through the act of giving that you're willing to give as well.
Yep.
So that reciprocity definitely reflects on how you've engaged with us and how it seems like you're sharing the wealth with the rest of the world.
Well, dude, and that, you know what, that's the best thing about when you do that, right? When you go to plant a seed, you don't get the one seed back, you get a harvest.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And do so many times, like, we don't look at life as laws, right? We think of it as our feelings. Like we make our decisions based on how we feel.
Yeah.
Instead of just going ahead and plant and water. You know,
Yep.
next day you look at it, it's like,
Yep.
I didn't get anything. It's like, no, you
Yeah.
water it and water it. And like when you really take God at his word, if he says do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Fine. Like it's still gonna work though.
Yep.
Man, that's a progression.
That's a progression. I'm gonna write it down. So, man, Jake, we appreciate you, man. Dude, I know in the future I'm gonna see you.
Absolutely. We're gonna make some big things happen.
Yes, sir. So, man, I appreciate you, brother. Have a good evening, man.
I appreciate y'all. We'll see you.
Brother.
Yep. Peace.